Welcome folks to Digital.Flash.Fire. This is Dan, and today we're taking a look at the Derpitz. We are on the map that always dumps me in the corner away from everyone, Land of Fire. So I kind of have a love-hate relationship with this map. I have some really amazing games on it, but for some god-awful reason I always end up down in the freaking I-2 corner every time. And this time there was a cruiser by me earlier in the day. I was in the Yamato, and I was completely on my own. Anyway, this is not going to be the fastest game, so I'm going to take advantage of that to go ahead and go on a little rant. The Tirpitz recently got a buff, and Flamu has talked about it, and Zoop has talked about it. And usually when I say those two things, well, we all know Flamu's correct. The guy's better at World of Warships on his deathbed than I would be on my best day. But in this case, I'm actually kind of leaning towards Zoop. Basically, the crux of the argument is that the buff to the Tirpitz's secondaries, which makes them pretty much 100% online with the Bismarck, isn't enough to bring it on level with the Bismarck. Now, I would agree before the buff that the Bismarck had a bit of an advantage. The secondaries was amazing, and the torpedoes are fairly situational. And the counterbalance that the Bismarck got was it got Hydro. Well, Hydro's situational too. The advantage you get from Hydro is all on situational awareness, and I know I struggle with situational awarenesses, and players at my level, which I do feel includes guys like Zoop, where our player scores are actually fairly similar. Well, I mean, seriously, our struggle with situational awareness isn't going to be cured by Hydro. It's going to be cured by practice. It's going to be cured by playing. Hydro is super situational, even more so than the torpedoes. So this leapfrogs the Tirpitz well over the Bismarck for the majority of players. And the way the Bismarck uses Hydro doesn't really help. I mean, you're not going to... Using Hydro on the Bismarck takes a lot of practice, so you're not going to end up with better situational awareness because you use Hydro on the Bismarck. You need to learn situational awareness and then enhance it with Hydro on the Bismarck. Anyway, as you can see, no one on the other team is going west. Makes me kind of sad I didn't push that way. And I'm just firing these speculative long-range shots. They have their Galissonier? Yeah, I massacred that. Their Bismarck and the Dunkirk. And I should really be shooting the Dunkirk because the Bismarck has really good armor and the Dunkirk doesn't. And there's a tsunami. Tsunami would have been fun. There's a hurricane or cyclone coming in. So in about 3 minutes, we're going to start losing range. And here you can see I've actually switched to the Dunkirk. And the Sigma and other dispersion on these guns probably would matter a lot more if I wasn't just inaccurate as hell. I haven't played very much lately. And as a result, well, I am lucky to hit water most matches. So the solution to that is to engage the enemy more closely, as Lord Admiral Nelson said. So that's what we're going to do. Now you can see the way the teams are splitting. Our team is kind of tacking up northwest, and you can see only one shell hit. One of them apparently just went clean through. Yeah, thanks. And here comes the Missouri, Alabama. Another ship where the premium is simply an upgrade on the tech tree vessel. And I get it that they're in it to make money, but, you know, as much as me double citadeling the guy doesn't help my case. The improved Citadel on that ship against the North Carolina is a bad joke. I mean, anyone that has to play the North Carolina as opposed to that thing is kind of crying right now. And I do some landscaping because that's how I roll. And I put some shots into the bow. A shot into the bow. And you can see, I mean, look, my situational awareness isn't such that I would benefit enough from hydro to, justify trading out torpedoes for hydro. If I could take the Bismarck and just pick which one I got each battle, well, I'm taking torpedoes every time. Who are we kidding? I may only get to use them every couple of games, whereas I am going to hit the hydro button every game. But I'm not using hydro at the right times. I just don't have that high-end instinct that people like Zoop have, or not Zoop, Flamu have, that lets them know, hey, this is when you want to be hydroing. I mean, I know that where I'm at, if there's an enemy close enough, he's torpedoing me, but I also know that there's no one close enough because I'm well screened in all directions by my team, which is something that's been rare this last week, let me tell you. My God, some of these teams. And there's another example of me just not being in the flow of the game, not really being able to lead well. Now I'm going to duck south of this big island here and try to link up with the 4 ships that have gone east because their whole team has gone east. Take another whack at the Dunkirk. And I can tell already that's way off. It'd be way off even if he hadn't turned. And here comes the Cyclone. Pop some shots off at the Bismarck. Now they have a Tirpitz over there too. They have a bunch of ships over there right now. And our team is kind of running rampant right now. They do have a couple of ships going west, but nowhere near as many as us. And that's kind of looking like a raffle stomp at the moment. The one thing we have to worry about is that destroyer getting all the way around to our base. And frankly, I'm not going to worry about it because there isn't, even with the new secondaries, there isn't a lot I want to do. Here we've got 2 battleships getting a little too close, and I put some shots into them. And Le Glaçonnier goes down. I guess that's how I'm pronouncing it anyway. And so we've kind of hit the middle point of the battle. Their team has completely split. There really isn't much of anything in the middle. There's the Pensacola, which despite the buff, I'm still terrible with. I guess the buff was removing armor because there was no penetrations and no citadels. And you can see we're just happily cutting their team to ribbons. And look, one of their destroyers has gotten clear down to I-10. Meanwhile, most of their ships are in that nasty little blob in E9. Now, we've got torpedoes going in there, and I'm a poor player in a Tirpitz right now. Guess what I want to do? I want to get in there and throw some torpedoes out. And here we're going to see, more shots. We're getting into range for secondaries, as you can see by the secondaries opening up. And of course, the Cyclone closes in a little bit. And this is where the Tirpitz shines. The amount of firepower it generates up close now with 8 15-inch guns, which are kind of below average, and a full Bismarck's complement of secondaries, and double torpedo, torpedo launchers port and starboard, is pretty damn amazing. Now, I am sailing in a straight line because I'm fairly certain that anything that comes up would get bounced off that island, so I'm going to change the angle that I'm going to approach the enemy ships at. I am not, however, smart enough to realize that I need to flip my turrets around. Because I do eventually plan on heading south. If I was smart, I'd have swung around, turned the turrets earlier, so that I could, and here you see me start to do that, so that I'd be more prepared to engage the enemy once I was turned around. And here is the Tirpitz, I believe. No, that's still the Bismarck. And my guns open up and my secondaries open up. And he used to have a considerable advantage over me at this range because I'm not quite in torpedo range. And he had a huge secondary advantage. We've both got about the same amount of health. Now here I make a mistake. I launch my torpedoes. The enemy battleship isn't approaching me and it isn't in range. So I'm not going to hit him. There's no chance those torpedoes are going to hit. You can see the Dunkirk, and there's the Tirpitz. That's who I launched torpedoes at. And now I'm going to hit him with guns because, you know, I don't have any choices at this point. And the torpedoes don't look great. He did slow down. But even if he hadn't slowed down, well, you can see them right there. They're running out of steam. So, oops. So my guns keep up the fire, and here comes the Dunkirk. And the Dunkirk and the Tirpitz should have switched sides. The Tirpitz should have been leading the charge, and the Dunkirk should have been sitting back so she could do more of that. Because at the moment, well, we just want to ram each other. The difference is, there's one thing I want to do before I ram. And no, it's not torpedo him in the face. It is, in fact, torpedoing the Bismarck back there, who can see this coming 100% of the way. So there I just got credit for a near full health Dunkirk, and come on. 1, 2, high caliber. He's not repairing because we're getting ticking damage. And the base cap race is on. So, and you'll have to pardon me, the replay is bugged. The controls have gotten terrible since the last couple patches. And I'm looking at this spot in the sea for a reason. Because there's still ticking damage. And that Bismarck was not on great health. And there he goes. And there's the Tirpitz on very low health. It's weird. The free camera controls worked great in the game, but try getting them working in replays. Seriously, if one of you guys has figured this out, let me know, because that's just driving me absolutely crazy. So our result, victory, of course, 510,000 credits earned, 4,993 base experience, 1,000 free XP, high caliber, just a flesh wound, almost 160,000 damage, 20 hits, 2 torpedo hits, sank 2 ships, 2 fires, 2 floodings, 2 citadels, 98 secondary hits. And that's, I mean, 50 secondary hits, more than I would have gotten a month ago with this ship. I was rammed to death by a Dunkirk, which I think any German ship would be extremely sad about. Going on to... So I was top scorer on my team by 300 experience. I did a lot of damage in that game. The York, the tier 7 second, Benson, Omagi, Atago, pretty good spread of damage among the team. 64,975 damage to the Bismarck, 51,000 to the Dunkirk, 25,000 on the Alabama on 3 hits, 12,000 on the Tirpitz, and 3,000 on the Pensacola, and an overpen on the French boat that I can't pronounce right. You can see here, running some flags and getting myself a total of 421,000 credits. Like I said, 5,000 base experience, 1,000 free XP, and the 5,000 experience for the commander. So yeah, just some thoughts on the changes to the Tirpitz and the way they're handling buffs. Let me know what you think. Let me know how you like the videos. And for God's sakes, if you know how to make the replays work again, let me know. For Digital.Flash.Fire, this is Dan. Thanks, folks. Have a great day.